Okay, so on to the trimming demo. This will apply to your vases, pitchers, jars, bowls, and possibly mugs if you have a lot of clay on the base of your mugs that you didn't get off when you were throwing them. So you want to get your piece centered on the wheel. The way you tell is put it there and hold your finger steady, and when it comes over and touches your finger, you know that it needs to go the opposite direction. So I'm going to move it over just a little, and I usually have to do this several times before I get it just right. To help you know where you need to move it is to hold your needle tool, and when it comes over and touches the needle tool, it'll leave a mark, and then you know where that mark is. You need to push it the opposite direction a little bit. That's another way to do it. Okay, and then grab some clay to use around the base to keep it from coming off the wheel. When you put the clay on, you don't want to push into your piece too much. It'll kind of distort the top, or if it's kind of dry, it might even break the top. So I'm mostly pushing down towards the wheel and just kind of smushing it around the sides gently to keep it in place. Alright, and then usually there's going to be kind of a messy edge here. Mine's not too bad, but if you have a messy edge, it's good to start with the smaller trimming tool, either side, just to get rid of that little messy part right down here. Once you get that pretty even, you can switch over to the larger trimming tool. I know that this was fairly thick, so I'm going to take quite a bit off, and I just want it to have a nice curve from, right here where it bulges out clear to the base. I've got a finger from my left hand touching my piece. My thumb is reaching over and touching my hand that's trimming. So it's really supported, and my arms are kind of tucked into my body. Just don't try and trim like this. It's not going to go well. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys how to give your piece how to set off the foot and give it a nice little undercut. I'm going to switch back to this tool and use the corner of the angled side. And I'm just going to trim in a little bit into my piece to create that little undercut. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of this extra clay right here. You can check your piece every so often by kind of pushing on it to see if you're getting too thin. That's a good thing to do. Smooth it out with this trimming tool. And then every so often, kind of look down. Look at the profile of it, see if you like the shape that you have. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that for the outside, and I'm going to trim the base. A lot of times when you take something off the wheel, the base can be uneven. So the way that you get rid of that unevenness is just to use the flat side of the larger trimming tool. Just set it on and then just kind of work your way out, and that'll even out the base. And then you can move to the smaller trimming tool again. And I'm using that corner of the smaller trimming tool to define where the bottom of the foot is going to stop. Where I'm going to stop trimming the clay, if that makes sense. It's good to have a place to stop, otherwise sometimes the clay will just drag you clear out to the edge and you'll trim off this foot that you tried to form. So make sure you define that, and then you can go in and trim out this extra clay in here. I've got some dried clay on this that's getting in the way, so get rid of that. That's why you do the base a little extra thick for these pieces, is because you're going to be trimming some of it off. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Maybe just, I'm going to take off a tiny bit more. It's good to be aware of how thick the base is before you start trimming. Before you put it on the wheel, you can kind of stick your hand in there and kind of feel, get an idea, so you don't take too much off. Another thing to do is kind of push on it as you go. If it's starting to give, then you need to stop. Okay, and then I'm just going to round this a little bit, just because that's how I want it to look. I could leave it more angular like this and that'd be fine, but I'm just gonna just take off the sharper edges. And then I like to finish with just a damp sponge to smooth everything out. You can also use like the metal rib out here to kind of smooth a little bit, or your finger. It does take off your fingerprints though, just so you know. Yeah. Okay, and then my piece is drying up. I'm gonna go ahead and just sign it while it's here so I don't have to do that later. Okay, and that should be good for that. Okay. So I'll do that for my picture later on and attach the handle, and if you guys want to join me later just to be reminded how to add handles, you can do that. Stop that.